I'm doing this documentary about friendship breakups and how we heal from them because it is a very personal experience that I've had, and this was my way of healing. I hope that this provides you with validation for your experience. I hope you feel seen in this. I hope you feel heard in this. And I hope that you know that you are not alone in your experience.
Interview, scene 7, take 1.
When I think about a friendship breakup, I think about it like a cycle. We start with the friendship. There's the incident or incidents that lead to the breakup, and then there's grief. We decide if we want to repair or release this friendship, what's our new life like, and then we go on to create new friendships. But how do we feel and how do we heal? This documentary answers those questions. This last friendship breakup came, last year we had been friends for 14 years. And I mean, I don't know, I wouldn't say we weren't like best friends, but we were close friends because we had been friends for so long. And over the years, I started to kind of realize that she didn't show up for me the way that she would show up for others. There was a group of us, right? And I feel like within our group, there were groups within the group. So sometimes I would feel left out, but I felt like she treated other people in the group different than me. But I had this desire to be closer to her, like especially after the pandemic. I remember just trying to call her, trying to FaceTime, trying to show up, trying to support her, and that wasn't reciprocated. And at the time, I didn't realize that reciprocation was actually something that was important to me. Historically, I just let things go. I know it's a trauma response. I just kind of try to say, okay, this is who they are. Let me adjust accordingly. The more work that I've done on myself, I realize like, just because we've been friends for a long time doesn't mean you have to keep the same position that you had in my life. Throughout this documentary, you'll meet some amazing Black women who have experienced friendship breakups, and they're ready to share their story. We talk about friendship breakups, and to have a friendship breakup and to may have been hurt by a friendship breakup and then to still have to go in the world and be vulnerable is like, I feel like it's very challenging. How do you all feel like about having this conversation?
This is probably the first time I'm admitting out loud that I probably played a huge role in why my friendships didn't last. I don't have the story of having really long-term friendships from childhood. And that used to be something that was a wound for me. And through therapy, through spending time getting to know myself, I realized that I didn't know how to communicate because that's something that showed up in my romantic relationship, but also I realized became a real pattern for me in my friendships with people. I did not know how to express my needs to people. I didn't even know what my needs were. Right. So if I didn't spend time getting to know what I wanted, how could I communicate to different groups of people who I expected them to be in relationship with me? I didn't even know what that was.
I want to say it started candidly, I told this group of friends, I realized that we didn't talk as often as we used to. Now, again, to your point about seasons, everybody goes through them. And I think it's fair that we don't have to talk every day, let alone every week, every month. But I think a check-in is fair.
Yes.
We weren't checking in. And so it got to the point where we were being asked to go do something as a group. And I said, well, right now, I'm just not in the headspace to be there. I'm depressed for what I feel like is depression for me. Didn't have to go to a doctor for it. Didn't need to see anybody, but I just knew I've never seen myself like this. And right now, I just needed support. I needed my friends. And in turn, it became, well, you look fine on social media because of what I do.
I had ended an 8-year relationship because, to talk about this out loud is very healing for me, because a person who I considered a dear friend at the time had told me that she slept with the person I was dating and living with at the time. Talking about my breakup, because the way it happened was just very like traumatic, right? It was me being at brunch like we always did, and this person disclosing this information to me about my partner, right? And so I can remember in that time frame, she just wanted to be reassured that the friendship would continue.
Wait a minute.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
You're joking.
So, but think about like that in a trauma space and as a people pleaser. I think I did. My friend at the time was like, "We're good. I'm telling you this, blah blah blah. We should be good." And I remember just like, "Yeah, we're good." My anger, first, you're wrong. You're wrong. Yeah. But my anger shouldn't be directed to you. My anger is directed to my partner. My anger is directed to him. Yeah. And like I remember just kind of being in that shell of a person, like trying to be that perfect woman of no, you never go to the woman. It's always to the man. Always, because that's what they say or whatever. But this is my friend. This is not a girl going to a woman. This is my friend. This is a person I know
There's
for
always
years.
a second place winner.
And I know, and I remember like the stages of grief after that. So like that happened, having to have those conversations with he's my ex now. And then her hitting me up like, so yeah, I can still be your manager. We can still this. And me now having to, cause now I've had time. No, this is over.
Can I just say I'm sorry to hear that you went through that? Because that level of betrayal can change you.
Oh, it absolutely did.
And I'm sorry you had to process that alone with two of the people that you probably were closest to you. I'm sorry. And I see, and I can feel and hear and understand the pain that you probably went through by yourself.
We don't think about the grief related to losing this important person in the same ways. And so society doesn't give you the time to grieve. It kind of poo-poos on it and makes it seem as if you are, kind of blowing things out of proportion, when again, you can have a very, very real experience of grief. And so because of that, people often have difficulty like processing the grief that comes with the end of a friendship, and they don't quite know where to turn or what to do with those feelings that they're having.
I think how I grieved was that I let it hurt. I let myself be sad. I let myself cry when I needed to cry. I talked about it in therapy. Like I wasn't embarrassed of how I felt. In the past, I would be embarrassed of how sad some of my friendships would make me, or if what my friends did hurt me. I'd be like, this shouldn't hurt me. Why does this hurt me?
My people pleasing, wanting people around me just to affirm me or have fun with, got me into a lot of relationships that I eventually had to heal from later on. And for a long time, I found myself in a pattern of being in relationship with people who ultimately probably weren't even good for me to begin with. And so as I grew and changed, as I became a different person, as I became a better person, as I became to love myself even more and know myself, I naturally saw a lot of relationships falling off. But there was still a lot of hurt in that because, you were with me through a really important season. You saw different milestones. So now that I go to the next milestone or to the next season and realizing that this person or these people can't come with me brings a lot of pain, and it makes me feel as though I did something wrong.
I think it's important for us to go a little deeper in talking about how to have difficult conversations with our friends. And I talk about this a lot in the book. And often we avoid difficult conversations for a couple of different reasons. So one, we have not had the experience of our feelings and our thoughts being validated. And so we tend to keep them to ourselves. But the other reason that often comes up more often is that we are afraid that the relationship will end if we voice something difficult.
Yeah, we have had conflict before. Not like fights, but different opinions on certain things, especially we both work together. Yes. And so we might have strong opinions. She's in school to be a lawyer, so she can't argue a point down. And I'm a little stubborn, so like I can stand on a point. How do we do that? We would agree to disagree.
I think we agree to disagree, but I think there's just a level of respect.
I think we were just
at least from my perspective, I feel like we were finding ourselves, and me and Skylar cope very differently through depression and just life in general. And I felt like we were kind of butting heads a lot. So we would like have conversations about it. Things would be awkward. Then she blocked me on IG.
Stop, it's telling people.
I'm gonna tell them that. But then she got some exciting, joyous news that I'll let her tell. And that kind of brought us not fully back together. It just made us start talking, and then we had the real conversation, like, all right, if we're gonna be friends, like, we gotta hash all of this out.
But I ended up getting pregnant with my first son, and I had to tell her, and we ended up talking afterwards. Like, I think we like both made it a requirement. Like, we had to what is the problem? We're gonna hit the problem head on, and we're gonna deal with it. And we haven't had a problem since.
You know, baby.
I remember you texted me after we were going through stuff, and you were like, Diamond, like, let's just make sure we talk about everything. Like, let's just make sure that, you know, if you feel some type of way, you tell me, and if I feel some type of way, I tell you.
Yeah. Because you can't really move forward unless you know what's going on. Yeah. Sometimes you forget that people are like going through stuff in their everyday life that you just like, okay, well, what about me? You could talk to me. You know, I'm always there.
So I actually had the opportunity to write about female friendships for Essence magazine. And I remember upon getting the assignment, I put out a call on Twitter asking to interview Black women for Essence about friendships, thinking that, you know, I would get like a few responses and nothing of it. That tweet ended up going completely viral. Thousands of hits. I got hundreds of people reaching out to me via DMs, via email, just pouring out their stories and their experience.
There are mountains of research that speak to the ways in which forming quality friendships helps us with our sense of self. It helps us to expand our sense of self, understand who we are. So often when you meet a female friend specifically, and she loves on you and you guys laugh together, when you are with her in that relationship, it affirms you in a lot of different ways. So with her, you feel lovable. You feel like you're the funniest girl in the group chat because she makes you feel like you're just like hilarious. She makes you feel like you are interesting, and she makes you feel like you have something to offer this world. So when that relationship is over, and specifically when she unchooses you in some form, you begin to question all of that. Because with her, I am interesting, I am funny, I am worthy. If she elected to leave after choosing me, what does that say about how funny I am, how lovable I am, how worthy I am?
It's been some years now, and the upside of it is, you know, they call it what your villain era. It pushed me into a new era of my life. I moved across state lines. Yeah. I quit my job. I started my career as a filmmaker, and God literally was telling me, like, this had to happen because everything it was a Job situation. Yeah. Everything that I lost, I got back tenfold.
My friend groups are small but mighty. I moved here 10 years ago almost, and that has been my struggle, making friends here in Atlanta, outside of the relationships that I have for work. So I still do experience loneliness sometimes, but because now that I'm able to hold myself accountable, because I am intentional about building those relationships and friendships now in this season of my life, I have something to look forward to. I know how to better choose and discern the people that I get to choose, not people who choose me and attach to me because I can do something for them. But that's where we are like mutually choosing each other because I see something in you that I think is just beautiful, and I want to be around, and you want to be around me for the same reasons. So I'm excited about what my relationships are going to look like in the future, especially because I'm loving myself in a different way. But I'm very grateful for the people in my life who have seen me for this whole time.
At the end of the day, it really is about us and bettering ourselves. Then I do have to choose me, and I hope that you too will choose you when the right opportunity comes around. Because I can't say I've been the best friend my entire life. I've been the friend I knew how to be. And that's, hey, I love you, I miss you, let's hang out. And if we can't, then we just can't, and we accept it, we move on. Now, these friends, I don't know what camera I'm supposed to look at, y'all better not go nowhere.
What I value now in friendships at 33 is much different than what I valued at 25. At 25, I just like that we have been friends for a long time, that we could party, that we could hang out, that we could go to dinner, we can go to concerts. But now at 33, I value compassion. I want to be around people who are compassionate with themselves. They'll be more compassionate with me. I value reciprocity. I value accountability, people taking accountability. I value feeling seen and heard. And more than anything, I value how I feel. I'm paying attention to how I feel around someone now more than ever.
What I would want to see for Black women is really uplifting one another, being real and honest, vulnerable with one another. There's so much that we just as naturally as Black women hold on all in ourselves, you know, not wanting to share, being strong, and just understanding that in sisterhood, like, we have each other and it's powerful. And once we have this safe space amongst other women, we can do anything.
Even though we did almost have a breakup, we kind of did have a breakup. Yeah. I felt like it was the best learning experience I could have had for fighting for something. Whether it was like romantic relationships that failed, this is the first relationship that I've had that I've like, we fought, we came back, and here we are.
Like, one thing I've learned from all of this is like to allow myself to go through it. Like, if I feel sad about my friend breakup, I feel sad and I'm gonna be sad about it, and then when I'm gonna just go through all of the feelings, and I think that helps me get to the other side in a way that makes me like delighted, I'd say. But thank y'all for having this conversation. I was so nervous and so like, oh my God, this is so
I love you, girl.
I love you, girl. Yeah. I love you so much.
It was so nice.
This is so great. I feel like this was like a really needed conversation.
Our friendship is fun. It's very honest, very brutally honest. Nobody here is gonna not hold you accountable for your actions. So I usually call them last. Like when I want to do something shady, I call them last, especially that one.
Yeah, I'm really thankful for how you've shown up in my life.
I feel the tears like really starting to like, and I did my makeup really well today, so you can't be doing this to me.
I love that, like, I can be authentically Black with you. You're always, it's like true girl power, you know? She's younger than me, but like she's one of my biggest cheerleaders, you know? And I love you. You inspire me. Like, I want my daughters to grow up to be like, stop for real, Rainy. She is probably one of the few people I can pick up the phone and say, hey, let's go do this. And you're like, okay, how much is it? Unless you feel like I'm a flake on her. And sometimes I might do that too.